Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. We're gonna hang out here for just a second while we see if YouTube's actually gonna work for us today. I broke something. I break things. I'll be honest. I break things. I apologize profusely. I'm a bad boy. But we're going to try to make sure that this gets fired off properly, because when when you're in the Discord channel, so often you're waiting for that to actually show up. So I want to make sure that our live stream is showing up appropriately, at least on YouTube, let alone in the Discord channel. So we're hanging out for just a second, trying to get this to go. The moment that I see it go live, I will obviously move ahead with our programming today. I'm gonna go, and we're just checking out the channel at the moment. It says that we are live, but I'm not seeing that show up. Okay, that is live now. It says that viewers are tuning in. I apologize if this seems very odd for me this morning. I'm gonna get the shareable link. I'm gonna throw it in just because I don't think CouchBot is functioning quite right. I'm also checking out the channel. YouTube is clearly making some adjustments. Yes, we are now live. That's good. YouTube's making some adjustments, and it may have broken CouchBot. So if you're watching this and you're wondering what the hell's going on, it just appears that CouchBot has been busted up a bit. So okay. So that's there. If CouchBot does fire off, I'll be a little shocked. But let's go ahead and close that, because we don't need that. We do need these. So, and yeah, you probably haven't been able to see any of this at all anyway, because last I checked, I was on my screen. So, hey everybody, welcome along. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. A little late out of the gate this morning. We're sorting out the YouTube, streaming. What is a morning without a little bit of a streaming issue? Anyway, so glad to have you along here for the feedback loop. We do have a couple of submissions in the queue this morning. One I'm just grabbing because I believe Tejal is wanting me to take a look at her work. She just did not submit it into the queue yet. I'm almost certain that it's going to pop up anyway. So we're going to take a look at that. Also, Melanie did submit hers into the queue, so we're going to look at hers first. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can get this underway. First of all, we're going to look at Melanie's. She said she didn't have a lot of time, but she did push up, and yesterday she had gotten locked up on a Git issue. So I'm going to go ahead and pull her changes in, and let's okay, so a lot of stuff was updated, obviously. Let's go live. Let's run the live server with hers, and let's just see what we've got. Now, of course, this looks like the old home page. That means that I'm looking for handy copy HTML. Handy copy .html. She's basically designing this kind of. She has a case study, and she's basically redesigning her portfolio. As we scroll through, yeah, I can definitely see the issue pretty much right away. So let's go ahead and inspect this. I just kind of want to see what's happening here. So you've got an overview. You've got to call left. You've got main container. To call left. It's okay. So if we turn grid template off, it's just a single column, which is fine. I want to go back really quickly and just reacquaint ourselves with your prototype, or your mock-up rather. Not really a prototype, it's just a mock-up. And let's see exactly what the target is so that we can then like begin to. Okay, so here is, oh no, that's Shane. Sorry. Didn't mean to pull up yours, Shane. Melanie's has her drawing on it, so it should be really easy to pick out. Fun fact: Melanie was sharing that that she had like reorganized some of the files at her new workplace using some of the tips that we have been sharing here in the program, and people were unaware that you could put like a cover on these files, which is frankly always fun. Let's just go right here. I believe this is what we're looking for. Okay, so I know exactly what's going on. This is and I talk about this. There's a very specific YouTube tutorial that I put together that helps with what we're about to go through. Let's yeah, you can see, hey, like I'm streaming live right now. Yeah, boy, I watch a lot of weird stuff. Let's go to my channel, and I'll take you over to this item right, not there, right, and nope, no, that one. Better HTML equals better CSS. If you're watching this and you're like, I still don't understand what he did, I want you to go watch the Better HTML, Better CSS tutorial, because everything that's happening here is a structural issue. Like, Melanie has done actually a pretty good job of coming through and aping or mocking the styles that she's got. Like the overview, it looks pretty close to the styles that she's aiming for. The problem is the structure. And this is not anything that's in the CSS. It's all an HTML issue. So if I come over into Handy Copy and we look at this, I'm obviously going to shut the head down. So I'm not really concerned with the header at the moment. So this is the hero project. Okay, so this is the stuff that's all the top. Problem framing. All right. So we have a div call class left. And one thing I really want to focus on here, Melanie, is the organization of the file. And, you know, sorry, I have the Apple. Let's see here. There we go. You're, utilizing these break tags, and we have this. It's kind of interesting. You've got a div of caption, and then it's just overview. All right. I don't mind this class of caption. I'm sure that you have a reason for having it, and you do actually need that div, but we need this div in a wholly different place. I'm going to call this like H4 class caption, just to kind of give it its own space. You don't want to put styling on a div and apply it just to text. We always want to wrap our text in some sort of tag that gives it semantic meaning. There is no semantic meaning to a div. That's why we have sections. That's why we have asides and things like that. H4s, an H4 seems like about what you're trying to go for, but I'm actually going to remove this class of caption off of that, and I'm going to move this div down. And I'm going to show you what we're about to do. So we're going to close this div here, and I'm going to move this out, and I'm going to move this over because I want the indentation to actually reflect the structure of our markup here. So I'm going to move that over. So we have section. Inside of that section is a div class toCallLeft. Inside of that is a div, and I'll explain why there's a div here in a moment. But inside of that is an h4, and then the paragraphs for this little bit of information that is here. Then we close that div. And the reason that we close that div is toCallLeft is essentially applying CSS grid to this section and saying, I've got a wide column to the left, I've got a small column to the right. CSS grid only applies itself to the children of this div. Previously, the way you had it, this was a child, this was a child, this was a child, and it was essentially going through and placing each of these things in their own item. So overview was in its own item, this was in its own item, and it was just kind of bouncing around. Now we are going through and we are arranging this so that each of these has its own organization. So I'm going to close that div. I'm going to say h4 caption. Obviously, this div moves down. I need to remember to close that h4. And move this down because it's a child of that div. I'm going to copy this. And it looks like I actually have a div here, but I don't. That's closing something else. But now this div will close. So this div is associated there. This div has a home. This div has a home. And we've got line and line. We'll talk here in a moment about how to handle that. I'm just going to remove those for the moment. All right, so we've reorganized this so that we essentially have two divs. We have a left and a right. I'm going to save this. And when we come back over, you'll notice that it's now a column to the left, a column to the right. And this is pretty close to, there's a wiggle here, and I got to figure out where the wiggle is coming from. I will go through and go ahead and inspect the element because I'm almost certain that it's probably like a, okay, so there's that. There's the header. There's the body. So where's the weird wiggle coming from? It's got to be something down below. I'm not sure where it's coming from at the moment, but we will get to that. Okay, so we have this. Let's go over and look at the spacing here. You had some larger spacing to the inside of this. So what I would suggest doing in this particular instance is adding more to the grid gap. So let's come back over and keep in mind we haven't touched any CSS yet. This is just reorganization of the HTML. But we need more gap here in the middle. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to say toCallLeft. we'll call it handy intro. And the only reason I'm calling it handy intro is because I'm not really completely familiar with the code yet. And I know that the grid gap information I'm about to enter is pretty specific. So let's see here. Where is toCall? I don't see it, so let's find out where. Okay, so there's toCall left. All right, so you got a grid gap of 10 pixels, right? If we did a dot handy intro and we said grid gap 100 pixels, well, that's not what I necessarily wanted. Now we've got that space. That's a lot closer. That's a lot closer to where you were previously. We also have the ability to look at this and say, okay, well, how is this structured? I've got this section here at the top, and you could come in and begin adjusting these in terms of where you have a section. So if I said, I'm just going to look for section. I don't have any asset. I don't have anything termed section here. So for all sections, I could say, and I want to get really high up because this is something that you're using over and over and over again. So hero styles, container. Yeah, so we'll just cancel. We'll come up here. We'll say section. And on sections, I want margin. And actually, I gotta be careful with that because I'll say padding. So on sections, I want padding about 50 pixels to the top and bottom of each section, nothing to the sides. I'm going to save it, and that should give us, should have given us some padding to the top and bottom, unless there is, oh, you've got padding already set. So you set padding on the container. Okay, so I'm not sure why you would have padding. You have yeah, so I would come in here with width of 80% instead of adjusting the padding. I would adjust based on, you have margin, and margin's pretty significant, but you don't need padding and width. You need one or the other. Like, so if you're going to use padding, don't use width. If you're going to use width, don't use padding. That may seem like it's a little weird because you have this image, which it's kind of interesting. If you look at this, how it's structured, there isn't really a lot of reason to have well, I guess the image is slightly wider. So that's interesting. So it's almost like, here's this main container. The photo, I'm looking at the image width. It's interesting that, if we apply this width to 100%, like it gets to the width, but you have some other, like photo cover container 1200. I don't even think you need that. I don't think, I see you need the padding. Like the padding makes sense to me, but the rest of it, I I don't think you need. So I'm gonna pull that off. Um, yeah, and I get it that you want to have a little bit of padding to the top, but there may be other ways to get at that. On images, and this is what tipped me off. Images, they should always just be 100% of the container that they're in. Let the container control the width of that, so you're never having to go around and hunt for how to adjust it. But now, you've got it's responsive. These things can fold down. You see how that two call. I point you to feather frame. That two call is now helping you pull in and push out. This is getting a lot closer to where we were. Now it's still wider, and I want to come back to that because that's just a structural change, but I don't want to focus on that quite yet. Um, let's get ourselves sorted with regard to this section bit. So yeah, let's lose the padding. Let's adjust this max width to like 80%, and then let's come back and take a look at that. So let's find section. You had it actually on main container. So main container, I'm just going to get rid of the padding. We'll say instead of max width, 80%, and that gives us the space here. And you could come back and say something like 20 if you wanted to, just to, let's refresh, just to soak up some of that space. You don't necessarily need all of that. So if you said you want it 20, I totally understand that. Makes it a little more approachable. You also have some pretty significant space below these paragraphs. So what I might suggest doing is coming in, so saying something like, if this is going to be consistent, and it looks like that it looks like that your p tags just need to have some space automatically built into the bottom. So like margin 10 pixels, or 0, maybe it's 30, 20, something like that. Whether you need it at the top and bottom of everything is debatable, but if you're going to need it consistently, I might try to find wherever you have. I'm pretty sure you would have declared that early if you're going to do anything for your p tag. I see anchors. I see H3s and 4s and 5s and footers. I'm just going to come up here way high because this is pretty much root level. I'm going to say P, margin 10 pixels, 0. We save that. Now we're starting to get spacing between these elements. You have, let's see here. you have some line work here, and that line work is kind of underneath. This is probably where I might actually look at this as an unordered list, and that way I could kind of control these things a little differently. I don't want to necessarily put underlines with everything. Also, it's kind of interesting to me that these don't line up right now, and I'd like to know why. Why does this have such a different structure than that? Like, that's a P, you know. Oh, that's weird. It has 30 on it. Why does that have 30 on it? Why does that have 30 on it? Oh, is there a specific style in here? Did you, like, put something? No, I don't see it. Let's refresh. Yeah, it's a gremlin. Oh, okay, so it lines up now. Yay, that makes me happy. Yeah, it's probably just an artifact. Also, that lead researcher bit. We'll come back to this bold. There's other ways that we can do that, using spans and things. But now we've got this this really set up nicely for us. It's got space around. The image is not. The image is responding well. I am concerned about the space up here. Where is all of that? Like, we've got this, yeah, padding top. That's hero project container. That's pretty honking. So let's go find that really quick. Yeah, let's just get rid of that padding top. Save it. Okay. So there's some other work that we want to do, but the big thing here, related to your questions, Melanie, was this spacing. And if you remember where we were when we started this, the spacing was really way out there, and now it is not. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this and push it up so that you can continue working. But the big thing to remember is that when you're in here and you're creating these structures, you want to have your, this is the left this is the left column, this is the right column, and you want to remember to wrap those columns in some sort of div that's going to allow this CSS grid property or class to apply itself to the child elements of that class. So let's go ahead and save this. Get status. Get add. Get commit. Updates from feedback loop. Get push origin master. Okay, and off it goes. Looking forward to seeing your updates. Let's stay steady on this one. So closing that down, let's go ahead and hop. Oops, don't need that. And we don't necessarily need that one either. Let's go ahead and hop over here to Bergen. Looks like somebody's hopped into the loop. Got it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the case study here. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to turn off my guides. So yeah, here we go. Okay, we have a few questions here. And we have a specified font color in the hero section. Why did the change to blue? Why did it change to blue when I specified color for H1? How do we fix this? In all other instances, the H1 will most likely be blue. Okay. How do I add captions under the images? I tried using div for captions. It didn't work. Wait, is it a padding issue? Not sure. We'll have to take a look. I added image instead of creating a gradient for the background because I have a circle on top of the gradient with a different blending mode. If I just do a gradient, I will lose that effect. Now I'm using an image in the background. Would it be easier to make the image a little larger and a block of white to the bottom part of the image? The rest, I don't necessarily know. Do we export PNG or SVG for icons with or without a shadow? Without a shadow. I've added PNGs without a shadow to the images folder. However, I cannot add it on top of the grid. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That will be interesting. I haven't necessarily looked at that sort of construction before. A lot of questions here that I think I'm just going to have to look at the work to see what we've got. So let's go ahead and get that going. But yeah, I can see if this is 3 columns, how the hell do you get it like to float up there? And that's honestly, that's going to be me hacking around a little bit, as I haven't tried to make that. I have an idea of what would happen, but let's just jump in. So, and I'm not sure why that was there. Let's go ahead and okay, get status, get pull origin master. Okay, lots of changes. That's good. Let's go ahead and run the live server just to see what we've got. Okay. So Bergen comes to US, a case study. I see what you mean there. And the overview. Okay, so here I would suggest adding a style. It's weird. We've got this line around the edges. Let's I want to take a peek into what's going on there. It's like we've first of all, do we have a reset? We do have a reset. So this body interesting. It's not. I wonder if it's on the image itself. Interesting. I would. Yeah, I'm gonna go in and take a look at this image. There is a border on it. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. But obviously one of the issues here is it's not displaying evenly. So that's a concern. Also, I am a little concerned that it's holding to a specific height, and that's making it not necessarily responsive. Yeah, so that's something we'll want to look at, because in mobile, this hero, the height of it's, we're not going to want that height to be 130. Maybe it's like 70. but we'll have to come back to that because it's just not a pressing issue at the moment. We'll refresh. So the first thing, let's go ahead and fix this. This is pretty straightforward. You're going to want to put that, basically say h1 class hero head or something. And the whole point to this is we don't need reset, we need this. So let's go for hero. Yeah, so I'll put it down here with hero items. So we'll say hero head, and this will be color FFF. Save it. Should be white now. Essentially, anywhere that you have that sort of issue, just apply a class or an ID to it. I would typically use a class. I don't think you need an ID to help fix that issue. So that's one. That's pretty easy. Caption under the images. What images? Are we talking about the caption underneath this? For greater clarification, I'm guessing that you are. So this is probably where we want to look at Fig Caption. So let's see how this is structured at the moment. So we have hero video. And I'm curious about hero video. So hero video. All right. So what happens if I just turn hero video off? Okay, so hero video basically is controlling its space on the page, I think. Let me undo that. So yeah, now it's kind of peaking. This is just peaking down a little bit. All right, so the question is, how do we want to structure this with regard to, sorry, there we go. How do we want to structure this with regard to having a caption? And for that, I'm going to go Google Fig Caption, and let's go to Mozilla for some examples. Fig Caption is a way to basically, have you have the figure, you have the image, you have the Fig Caption. So I want to look at video Fig Caption to see if there's anything different. Video HTML. Not what I want. Probably what I want. Okay, so figure video HTML. I just want to make sure that that's the right syntax. Can we use a video tag and a figure tag? Okay, so this is, somebody's explaining this. So video, audio, or flow, nested. Yes, it is possible. So again, this is, basically this is what we're looking for. And I was just wanting to see if I could find an example where somebody else had done the same thing. So they're using figure, which is it's just a different type of div, to be honest with you. I can pick up class video, use it there. I'm going to pick up this iframe, use it here, and then I'm going to use Fig Caption for the caption, and let's just see where we net out here. I'm going to note that out for just a second. Come back over. Whoa, hey. Oh, it's there. It's just in white. So we would need to go through and say, hey, fig caption, give me a different style. I'm going to do that here with the p tag. I'll just say fig. I'm not sure why that's. Oh, hey, let's not do that. Fig caption color 000 and style that as you will. But now it's there. And if you want to say, hey, my fig captions need a little space, just put margin top and let's put 10 pixels on it just to get us started. Now there's a little bit of space, but that's how I would do a caption. Fig captions, that's semantically, that means something to Google, that means something in HTML. So I think that's the best thing to do is to go ahead and utilize that. And thanks to Shane Williams, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about fig caption and figures, and Shane's really into accessibility, so that's one of the reasons why I dove into that. Might have even been just last week, so that was like very convenient. Added an image instead of a gradient. If I just do, yeah, okay, that's fine. Image is going to be larger than just a gradient, so just understand we probably need to optimize for the size there. Would it be easier to make the image a little and add a block of white to the bottom of part of that image? The rest of the background is white. Okay, so I shy away from this. I understand what you're saying now. Your thought, I believe, is basically making this to where we have the image and the figure to set at the bottom. We have this go all the way to the bottom. The problem with that is when this gets responsive, this image is static. It can't really be responsive, and I think you're writing just as much code to push this image around as you would be writing code to make sure that your video is in the right place. So for me, that's a no. I wouldn't do it that way. But I do think that we need to come through and adjust the hero in certain cases to be like, hey, you know what? It's going to be 60, or it's going to be, whatever that depth is. And that means that we're also going to need to adjust this single call thing that has the padding to the top. Like, these are the things that we're going to need to adjust eventually. And to be honest with you, I think now is just as good a time as any to begin looking at that. So hero, right now it's really tall. Eventually it won't be. Let's, and this is, par for the course. Let's start thinking about, okay, well, what would this be like if this was on a phone? And I'd get rid of most of my padding to the top. It might be like 2, 4, something like that. I would also come back through and shrink down the head. The font size here might be 2 or 2.5. We've got some work to do. I'm wondering what's the spacing below. Is that all from the fig caption? So there's some of the padding. I find it hard to believe this is all on the iframe. Maybe it is. So I see the height. I see the width that's on the frame itself. Okay, that's fine. Like, we're not going to get into that. I've got to sort out why that's setting so far down the page, and I don't necessarily know. Oh, it could be in here. No, it's not in there. It's 660 tall, or 606 tall. Why is it 606 tall? Oh, is it because of this height? It is. It's because of that height. Okay. All right. So we got to look at that too. And that's interesting because now if I pull that off, I've got that. What happens if I pull the width off and we say the iframe has a width of 100% and a height of 577? It's interesting. Width and a height. Let's refresh. Yeah, that's really interesting because it clearly isn't a height of 577. That's like acting as padding. Boy, that is interesting. So, and again, I don't utilize videos like this much. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this so that we can play around with it. Let's just note that out. I just want to get rid of the width and the height. Save it. Okay, so it's really small, and that's expected. Iframe, hero video, iframe. So let's find hero video. Hero video. So, and to be honest with you probably won't have many iframes, so I'm just going to do that. Height 100%. Just curious. Yeah, so that's like, hey, 100% of everything. And let's do width 100%. Okay. I like the width part. I don't like the height part. Let's get rid of the height. And it comes down. So it's definitely wanting, this is, boy, how I need this iframe to be responsive. I'm gonna Google this. Responsive iframe video. Fluid width with video. Hey. So yay. All right. Yep. All right. Height auto. Is it height auto? Might be. Yeah. Huh. Okay. All right. Let's just try height auto. Height auto. Nope, I didn't like that. So fluid video width. So it looks like if we put it in a wrapper, and so this is video wrapper. It's yeah, I'm just not quite happy with that. Okay, so here's another one. Okay, that's your embed code. We're gonna modify So video responsive, and okay, we're gonna wrap that video in this thing called video responsive iframe. So so overflow hidden. Yep. This is basically the same thing that it was before. And get rid of that one. So let's do this. Div class equals video responsive. Let's take this div, let's put it down here at the bottom. Let's see what we got. Alright, so that worked. Now let's see if it actually is responsive, and it is. Yay! Alright, that makes me very, very happy. That's the stuff right there. So essentially, we can get rid of this other one. This is little iframe modification going on, but essentially it's saying it's left top is 0, height and width is 100% of the div that it's in. It's using position absolutes, and then that's interesting. Height 0. That's an interesting little hack. But the fact of the matter is, it's now responsive. So, yay, go team. Now, what we need to make responsive in addition to this is we need to make the background responsive. Oh, is that what's going on? No. I thought you had like 130 on background. Here's a container. Okay, so that's the figure. That was what we just did. Yeah, I'm still not sure where this weird spacing is coming in from for the edge, but we will find it. We will find it. We will find the Rebel Alliance and crush them. So now I'm going to come back to hero. Let's find hero. And this is where I really want to, let's add a media query. A media all and min width. If I could spell min width, say 768 pixels. And basically I'm going to pick up and say, hey, hero unit, do that stuff. I don't necessarily need these items. I just need the height to change. Here I'm going to say the height is 70 for everything up to that point. So let's refresh. Let's get small. So there the hero unit comes up. Here it goes down. Obviously when it gets that small, we need the padding on this hero text to change. So padding top hero text. You can see how if we adjust the hero text, which we're going to do, so we're going to copy this. We're going to move it down. And now we're going to say, all right, hero text, you're getting in here on the business too. We don't necessarily need to change the color, but we do need to change the padding. And here we're going to say the padding is 4. which means we're really designing mobile first now. Obviously, this will, we have some changes that can come in here, but now this is beginning to work for us, regardless of the size. So if I'm on a tablet, I'm getting something like this. If I'm on a desktop, I'm getting something like this. And you may find that if you want this to really come up, maybe 130 isn't what you need. Maybe it's like 110. And now it's starting to hit closer to where you're at over here. And now you've got the exhibit B, etc. All right. That said, we now have this issue. So we've knocked down quite a bit this morning. Let's try to see what we can do here. I'm gonna close up all of this with the hero, and now we're really just going to come in and look at outcome 1. And my curiosity has to do with placement. So you've got, I'm guessing this is, okay, so icon award SVG. So I'm going to pull in this image and icon award dot PNG, I believe. I'm just going to try to do the 1 and see what we can get going here. That's not it. It's in an images folder, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay. So there's that. All right. So, I'm going to put I'm going to say outcome 1 image on the style. So I'm going to find outcome 1. So this will be outcome 1 image position absolute. So let's see what happens here. That should, okay, so now this is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that this text pays no attention to that image. So now I'm going to say margin top minus 100 pixels. That's what we're looking for. 80. And actually, you could just say margin minus 100, 0, 0, minus 20 pixels. Yeah, minus 90, something like that. And now this is where I, because I don't use drop shadows, so drop shadow CSS. I don't do it. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. So I'm trying to call in all my fussiness. So all right. So if I call drop shadow, let's just take this straight out. Let's put it on image. Call it drop shadow. I'm not sure that's gonna work. Yeah, can I use? Oh, there you go. All right, can't use it. So CSS box shadow, and box shadow is fine. Let's just grab box shadow instead. I know box shadow will work. But it's a box. Okay, well that's not what we're looking for. Come on, Chris. Image shadow CSS shadow effects. Ugh. text shadow, box shadow. Yeah, that's all gross. Yeah, that's interesting. Because now that I think about it, I recognize that we typically put the shadows around boxes if we put them around anything. So how do we put a shadow around a specific shape? You might have to export that together, and I would not have guessed that. Um, although there's another way to do this, and now it just poof, so obvious. So let's back the truck up a little bit. Let's put this is gonna seem so hacky, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it anyway. Let's just get weird. So I'm gonna put this in a div, and you're like, why are you putting this in a div? Why does this have to be in a div? And I'm gonna say, and it's gonna all make sense here in a minute. I'm gonna say class equals icon award, and you're like, why are you making that a class? That makes no sense. And it's because I'm weird. Okay, it's because I'm weird. And I'm going to go over here, copy that, and I'm gonna say, hey, dot icon award, background image, image that, and let's say height 40 pixels, width 40 pixels, and I'm just like coding out of the blue. I'm not sure really exactly what I'm trying to do here. I am going to copy this box, I'm going to copy basically all this. I'm going to copy it all. Don't want any of it down there. I'm just going to throw it up here because I kind of know my positioning here. So yeah, we've got this this div here with the class of box shadow. Now I can delete away this image. So this box is kind of hanging out up here. I'm going to say, I think that it might need quotes. No. It might be a background image URL. Yeah, it's URL. Sorry about that. It's got a point to it. I've got to put a semicolon on it. All right, so like now I can say background. Let's go size, cover, save it. Okay, so now it's in there, and you're like, okay, well, Chris, this makes no sense until you say, haha, border radius, and let's just say 10 pixels. That's not quite enough. It's 40, so it needs to be 20, so we can make a circle. And now we're going to make this, we're going to just kind of work with this. So 80 and 80. Okay, so it's that big. Maybe it needs to be 70 and 70. You'll probably watch this like 10 times and go, what the hell was this thinking? Why was he rambling like that? And it's because I'm doing something that I've never really thought about. So we'll say 333, and ta-da! Something like that. Obviously, you might want your box shadow to not be so janky, and you can go in and make all the adjustments that you want to make. Cancel. I'm simply trying to get us to a point where it's in there. I want box shadow syntax while we're here though. So yeah, I want something a lot more subtle. So I'm going to pull this over instead. And so I believe that this is really kind of pointing in two directions, but this RGBA is helpful because it allows you to control and make it a lot more subtle. Like the other one was really harsh, this one's more subtle, and it's because of this RGBA. Like if I came through and I said 1, it gets really dark, right? And this is actually a couple of shadows. This is a couple of shadows layered on top of one another. So I really like that approach. And you can make it as subtle or light as you want. Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad for a guy who doesn't do shadows. Yeah, 8. So get in there. Let's work with this. You know, you can kind of see how I'm pushing it around now. I think if I push it from this side, it'll actually, yeah, it's moving it around. So this is pushing it to the right. This is pushing it down, I believe. Yeah, that's pushing it down. So I'm going to change this to like 4 and 3, and I just want to change this to 12, see what happens. Yeah, this is controlling the amount of blur that we have. So if I said 3 and 2, it makes it nice and subtle. If I come back here and I say 3 over here, yeah, it's like, super light, a little heavier. So I'm going to leave that for you. I'm going to push this up. You'll have the code. And yeah, I think we actually, we actually did it. Holy crap. All right. Well, that was cool. That was fun. I like that. I like coding in the morning, folks. This is the kind of stuff that I like to do. So bring it. All right. Let me push this up real quick. It always feels good when you actually figure it out and you're not just like, I don't know why it doesn't work. I will get rid of this though because we don't need that. You will need to create like little classes for each of these, but notice that this div is basically empty. It's just like, it's a background image, but I need it to have it for a shadow. There you go. All right. Get status, get add, get commit, updates from feedback, doop, get push, origin master. Boom. All right, that was fun. You know what? Let's do it again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Hopefully CouchBot will fire. I've got to get in. I've got to like pull at CouchBot. Something's broken, and it broke. Oddly enough, last night YouTube changed something. I don't know what the hell they changed, but they changed it between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. yesterday. Something changed. The interface is a little different. That's why I can tell something's changed. But now I've got to go like pull the stuff apart and put it back together again. So I got to go. But Melanie, Tejal, good job. And I will chat with all of you again tomorrow. Take care.